once it's on tape, it's forever.
Yes.
So,
All right, I'm set. You are. We're good here. I'm just gonna kind of stand in the corner
you're
and
gonna
watch
hang out
it.
over there?
Yeah, I'm always afraid that the batteries are gonna die, even though I just put new ones in.
So, Mr. Johnson, just to lead off, I'll just direct you a little bit, but we're really looking for your story and for you to tell the
For
story.
you to ask the questions you want to know.
I'll ask, if there's something that I feel like you might have left out, I'll ask, but, we're looking for you really to tell your story, because that's what we're here to hear. So, if you want to start us off, just state your name, your age, and where you originally were from.
My name is Arthur Lee Johnson. I was born in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Attended South Carolina State College, the College for African Americans. At that time, it was stated that things were to be equal, but were unequal, actually, because of the racial divide. My wife is here now, and she can add other things that I may forget.
So, so originally you're from South Carolina,
I was born in Orangeburg, South Carolina,
and
in the Tri-County Hospital.
so, so tell us about how you ended up getting into the Marines, and your age at the time, and
I
what you
did
were
not
doing.
volunteer for the Marines.
You did volunteer for the Marines?
No.
This is in
I
South
wanted to go. I
Carolina.
wanted to
Right.
go. I wanted to go into the Army only because, we looked up to those who had served in World War II, who had who seemed to be doing well and were dating the most attractive girls on the campus.
He was in college.
Well, that's always a good reason.
I graduated from South Carolina State College with a liberal arts degree, maybe degree, prepared to teach if I needed to. However, during that time, I was drafted in Millville, New Jersey, into the Marine Corps. I always thought one had to volunteer for the Marines. I did not volunteer. I was put into the Marines.
So you were drafted in South Carolina?
Drafted in Millville, New Jersey.
So you left?
I was born in Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Okay.
Attended college there, graduated there, and was prepared to teach.
Okay, so that brought you up north.
Yes.
And then you were drafted into the Marines.
Yes.
So,
Excuse me, he was told that the Army had met their quota, and that's why they
Yes, I forgot
drafted
that
him
part.
into the Marines.
into the Marines.
Yes.
So,
They had their quota, so I was put into the Marines. It was hard for me to believe that the Army had reached this quota because the Army is the most populous of the branches,
yeah.
in my opinion.
So what year was this? Do you
So
remember?
most casualties.
Do you remember what year this was when you were drafted?
49, 1949, approximately.
So that's right about the start of the Korean War in
Yes.
'49.
Yes.
So do you remember boot camp at all?
Boot camp at Paris Island, South Carolina.
And,
Further training at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
and can you describe how that went?
The only part I liked was the drill, was marching. I could march then. Of course, I can't march now because of my injuries sustained in warfare.
So,
Injury in my femur and my direct hit into my left I, 2 Purple Hearts, which are at home. I said, we'll go with my wife
And these both occurred in Korea, obviously.
in Korea, in the 30th parallel, dividing North and South Korea.
So after boot camp, were you sent directly to Korea?
If you include the service, served in Camp Lejeune as boot camp.
I don't know, is that part of
You
boot camp?
weren't in the military?
No, I was not in the military.
I think that would be part of it. Part of the training.
And as, I see you reached corporal, what was your training? Did you have a specific job that you were trained for in the Marines?
I already knew how to type. I was being an office worker, typing. Computers weren't used in those days.
Sure.
Probably not invented.
So do you remember when you were shipped to Korea? What year?
Probably 1950.
In 50. And tell me about, life in Korea. What was your daily grind? What did you do most of the time?
Working in the office, typing,
And this was behind the lines, pretty much?
pretty much so, yes.
So,
And then the war broke out between the North and the South. Marines. And it's still not settled even today.
right.
There's still a rift between the two parts of the one country, North and South.
So, were you there during Incheon, or had Incheon already occurred?
We landed at Incheon. We were debarking from the ship, being careful not to step on the person's head beneath me. Have their head, have my head stepped on by the person above me.
So you're climbing down the rope ladders?
Yes,
So,
in the water below.
so from there, I see that you were in the battle at the 38th parallel, because I know we were
Yeah, 38th parallel.
advancing north.
Yes, 38th parallel.
Now this is before the Chinese had gotten in to the war. Is that correct? If I remember correctly, if I know my history, I don't remember, but we advanced north, and crossed the 38th parallel and kept going north till we reached almost the border of China. And in China,
Well, I've never been to China.
so were you fighting North Koreans or were you fighting Chinese?
North Koreans.
Yeah, I think this was early, where we were still sort of winning. So tell us a little bit about your Purple Hearts and your injuries. How did those occur?
Well, I've already told you, they were sustained because of 2 injuries received on the battlefield in the 30th parallel.
So you were front line at that point. You were
Yes.
fighting. You were
Yeah.
out of the office.
Out of the office, yes.
So were you? Was it at the same time? Did both injuries occur at the same time?
No, the eye injury first. The second injury later, while I was in an ambulance, being taken away to Japan.
Well, within
There were,
like,
there were casualties who were deceased, or there were casualties who, there were casualties already in the ambulance who were dead. I was the only one alive. And that's when I asked the corpsman to be sure to take me away, because they're not supposed to fire, international law, you're not supposed to fire upon a Red Cross
Right.
ambulance.
But they were clearly firing it, it wasn't a,
No,
this
they were
was not a
fi-
stray shot?
They were firing, and I was hit in the femur, in my right leg, thigh, which I still have today. That's why I can't walk.
Is,
But I would like to walk again and receive help at Rothman Institute in Philadelphia, near Pennsylvania Hospital.
so did the bullet shatter your femur pretty much?
Well, I can't walk, so
He was able to walk, he was 22, but they did a lot of surgery. And
Go ahead, Frank.
when I married him, we've been married 21 years, we were both widowed. And, that's when I found out that he had a metal rod still in his leg, where you put a rod to keep the bones and help them to mend. But eventually, after I married him, maybe 5 years into our marriage, he was having a problem with that leg. He wasn't limping or anything, just walking normal.
and driving the car.
And driving and everything, he didn't have to use a cane or crutch or limp or anything. And so when they did remove that rod, because it was giving him problems, he could still walk fine. There was no problem. We thought maybe he had to use a cane or a crutch or something, but it was fine. Metal rod.
So they did take it out of it?
Yeah, like I said, 5 years into our marriage. Not too long ago. He had it in his leg all ever since he was 22.
So you recuperated in Japan?
Yes.
What about Hawaii?
Yes, later at Hawaii at Tripler
Hospital.
Army Hospital
In Hawaii?
in Hawaii, Honolulu.
Was there ever any thought about going back to Korea or
No,
did,
I was glad to be on my way home.
so you knew that was it for you? I guess with one eye,
Yes.
there's not much you can,
Yeah.
so.
You should be receiving 100% disability.
So the bullet that got you in the eye, was that a bullet or was that shrapnel? Do you know?
I thought it was a bullet. It severed the eye. I can't see out of it.
He has a prosthetic eye.
So
But I
when,
need to get to Wills Eye Hospital to learn again how to take a prosthesis out and in. The ophthalmologist said, Dr. Vincent Bryant, my ophthalmologist, said that it should be cleansed and not slept in.
so how do you feel about the health care that you received from the government? Was it?
Well, at that time, I thought it was sufficient, but in the light of current developments, veterans aren't receiving the help which they need. There are complaints, people waiting to be rated upon, some even dying.
Yeah, it's a big thing in the news right now.
Right. But he never wanted to be, and after he was well from the hospital, he never wanted to go back to be in any VA facility because they changed doctors all the time. You never know, got clinics and stuff. So he's always had private insurance.
Well, I know Will's Eye has a great reputation.
Yes, one of the best,
Yes.
one of the best in the country,
And where did
United States.
you end up being? And you got treated at Rothman for your leg, which is also
That's in
world
recent years.
renowned.
That's in
Oh, that's recent?
Yes.
Yeah, very
yes.
recent.
So you moved back to Millville after you got home? Is that correct?
Uh,
Atlantic City?
well, my mother lived in Atlantic City, and I, spent my summers there while attending college. I went to seminary, Eastern Baptist Theological Seminary in Philadelphia, City Line and Lancaster Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
which is now called Palmer.
That's after the military.
Graduated in 1956.
So he moved to Philadelphia to go to seminary, right, Arthur?
Yes,
lived
but
in
yes,
Philadelphia.
Eastern is in Philadelphia, City
Go
Line
to
and
seminary
Lancaster.
school, yeah.
And then after seminary
Theological
school?
Seminary.
He got his degree.
After that, I began pastoring in Philadelphia, Temple Wall at St. Paul's Baptist Church, through the guidance of E. Luther Cunningham, the current pastor. There were some people at that time still living in the original church, which was in North Philadelphia as well. But the church was purchased from the UCC, United Church of Christ, which is still there, which is the current church.
125 years ago.
Celebrated our anniversary,
It was started that long ago?
Yes.
Wow.
And he is the third pastor in 125 years.
And so, how long were you there?
Was there for at least 30 years.
34.
Oh, so you
He
made
was
a,
a pastor.
you made a life there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my main vocation became pastor, even though as a child, well, I guess I say as a teenager, I had aspirations for the pastorate.
How many people were in your congregation?
Oh, about 1,500. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And this is at 10th and Wallace, is that near Girard Avenue, Wallace?
Mhm.
Yes.
Between Wallace, between Girard and Spring Garden, used to be a spaghetti warehouse restaurant on Spring Garden. When I mention that, people remember
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
No, I go down 10th Street all the time, because
Uh-oh.
I go to every Temple basketball game.
Uh-oh, yes.
So when I go home, I drive down
Right on the
10th,
corner.
drive all the way down.
Yeah.
So I think I know I certainly know the area.
Yes, near Broad Street.
On 10th,
On
between,
10th.
right on the corner of 10th and Wallace, there's a
There's
nursing
one
home.
huge church down there. Is that the one?
There's a Roman
It's,
Catholic church that's,
That might be the
Well,
one.
our
I'm
church
thinking
Lives
is,
back there.
what do you call it,
Yeah.
Gothic brick,
of. Right.
that type of
With
structure,
Right.
yes.
there's an elevator in there which happened during my administration. An elevator was installed to help people to come up to the main sanctuary.
So looking back,
Parishioners.
I'll just change subject a little bit, going back to your military career a little bit. Looking back on your military career, can you kind of give us a little summary of how you feel about the military, how you felt about your years in the military, and how you were treated by the military, after getting your injuries?
Well, during the time of my military service, I felt the medical care was sufficient. But now, as I reflect upon it, I wish I had never gone into the military at all. I have a daughter who's who's a Marine.
A granddaughter.
And correction, Alicia is a granddaughter. The second one is granddaughter. First is
And she's in the Marines
first.
now?
Yes.
Yes, she's attending Drexel University in Philadelphia. And Adrian, my first granddaughter, has a son, Dawson.
How do you feel about your granddaughter being in the Marines, in the military these days?
Well, at that time, we were trying to tell her not to enlist, but she enjoyed being in the Marine Corps.
She
And
enlisted in
she
high
enlisted
school
and-
without her mother or anyone knowing. None of the recruiters go to,
Sure.
I found out, they go
Yeah,
to
they
high
talked her
schools.
into going into that
And they
branch.
convinced her
And
about,
she enjoyed the service. Now she's attending Drexel University, the University of Pennsylvania campus, that
Can I interject?
complex there, the hospital, University, Children's Hospital.
So has she served her
I wanted
time?
to say that she was on the women's basketball team in the Marines, plus she moved up and wanted to be what do you call, security guard. So they sent her to Quantico, is it?
Mhm.
Quantico, to train to be, a guard at embassies. Thank God, instead of sending her to Afghanistan and
Into
Iraq.
combat.
Right.
So that is what she did,
Yeah, well, she achieved the rank of top sergeant.
So she's currently not, she's out. She did her 4 years.
They wanted her to stay in, but I forget how many years she stayed in. Was it 4 or 8? I don't know, time goes by.
Well, they're probably paying
I'd
for
say
her
about
school.
3,
It was like 4.
because she's still in the college.
Are you proud of her, Pastor?
Yeah, very proud.
And thankful she wasn't sent into
Thankful she was
battle.
not hurt
Yeah.
and did not receive injuries during her Marine Corps tour of duty.
Had you had a conversation about your experiences with her when she was newly enlisted?
No, because she wanted to go into the
Now,
military.
she asked, did you tell Alicia about your experience? Because you wanted her to not go in?
Yeah, well, that's true. I did reflect upon my experiences and tried to discourage her. As I indicated, she wanted to go into the service, which she did and came out and has been successful in her college work. And she's still, when she graduates, I don't know what she's going to do. Just get married, hopefully. I'm sure she wants to get married. That'll be very.
But the
I gotta get
recruiters
a
convinced
son-in-law.
the young people of the benefits of signing up.
There's great
And
benefits to signing up.
that's why she wanted
My kids
the
went through the
college.
same thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, if she
So
would
you
have taken
know.
the second tour,
Yes.
yes.
She just didn't heed the pitfalls like her grandfather
Thank
experienced.
She didn't-
Right,
Right, she did
yes.
not experience those
Thank
big
God.
If you can get in
injuries I did.
and do your 4 years and get out and come home without injuries, it's a great experience.
It is a blessing, yes.
You know, but there's a risk.
Yes,
Clearly.
yes.
One more, well, not one more question, but one touchy question, it's always a touchy question, and you brought it up at the beginning, is that of race.
Yes.
And can you talk to us a little bit about whether or not you ran into prejudice in the Army or in the Marines? And if so, how you dealt with it?
It's so long ago, I guess I experienced no prejudice as such, no.
Do you think there was prejudice in the decision that they had you step into the Marines versus your interest in the Army?
Yes, because had I gone into the Army, I would have remained 2 years more on the college campus, because there was an ROTC program. And I would have gone in at least as a second or first lieutenant. Then there was a danger of leading the platoon into action and being killed.
So in your platoon, were there other black men? Or were you the only one in a group of whites?
Basically the only one group of Caucasians, yes.
I know my dad has told me stories. My dad were Jewish. He was in the Navy in World War II.
Yes.
And he ran into a lot of Southern, it was mostly the Southern guys that just had problems with guys who were Jewish.
So it's definitely prejudice.
So, anyways, you have any other final words to tell us about your service, your life?
Well, I've been to Israel once and actually twice. The second time with my current wife. And I love Israel because I'm a pastor and one uses the Bible as a reference. From A to Z, Abraham to time of Christ, Jesus Christ. All the New Testaments.
What legacy would you like to leave for people that would be hearing your interview?
I would like to leave a legacy for my own family and for all Christians everywhere.
Okay, well, I don't have any more questions. Do you have any questions?
I was thinking like if you still keep in contact with any of them.
Oh, yeah. That's a question I always ask. Do you still stay in touch with any of your mates from Korea? Do you go to any reunions?
Mm. The only person I remember one person who was a deacon at our church who was in the Marines before me. Um, he and his wife were students at the college I attended.
How was his experience? Was it difficult?
And he was in before me, so I assumed it was definitely more difficult because they were an all-black unit, all African Americans.
But he wasn't
Yes, yeah.
was he in Korea? Or was he in World War II or in between maybe?
World War II probably, yeah, World War II.
Did you have any thinking of maybe becoming a pastor in the Marines?
So I had I thought about being a pastor when, while attending the church in South Carolina, near where I was born. It's called Olive Grove Baptist Church. It's still there. To my recollection, my wife and I attended it on one of my visits to Orangeburg.
So you were married when you were in college. You were married young. The first
No,
time.
I got married at 30 years of age to my first wife.
Oh, okay.
How old were you, Francis, when you got married?
I'm not going into that.
She doesn't like to
But
tell her age.
he and his first wife you were married 30-something years?
Yeah, at least 30,
And
maybe 30.
he and I have been married 22 years. I'm still a teenager. But anyway. But I remember seeing a documentary, I'm sorry, but
No,
it's coming,
that's
it's
fine.
about Korea. A documentary about the Korean War, how it began and everything. Then it's like for about 2
Yeah,
hours.
the comedy also called MASH.
And I was gonna say that not only was it 32 degrees, it was below zero. The weather there was one of the worst winters they had
December
ever had.
of 1950, snow was on the
It
ground
was below zero, and the
in North
Americans,
Korea. South Korea.
allies were not fully dressed properly for
And
the
we were wearing
weather.
fatigues, and
Cotton.
the enemy were probably clothed in
Insulated.
insulated clothing, top and bottom.
And a lot of
Here as
the,
well.
allies suffered frostbite. He said he wore 6 pairs of socks.
Oof. So was that in the middle of the winter when, the battle at the 38th parallel?
Yes.
So were you, do you remember what kind of weapon you were carrying at the time?
The M1 rifle.
Um, Yeah, I can't imagine how cold that was. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of those same documentaries.
Yeah.
And
I was fortunate I did not suffer frostbite.
Did the difficult and challenging times of your Marines experience empower you to be a better pastor?
I felt so, yes.
In what way?
Primarily the education I received enabled me to be a better pastor.
I don't know that I have any
A lot
other
of
questions.
a lot of pastors did not go to seminary during that time. And now they are.
Do you still get a chance to go to your old church? You ever get down there?
Yes, I've been there several times. Yes, been several times.
Has it changed much?
Well, in terms of tradition, we have a woman pastor who is very competent, highly educated, and whose name is, who's from West Virginia. Her name is Leslie Callahan.
Are you able to stay in touch with any of the people that were in your parish? Is it I don't know if it's a parish or
Congregation.
a congregation.
Yes, yes.
We were there Easter. I took him there for Easter Sunday services. So occasionally,
Yeah,
make
many of them
arrangements here.
remember me.
They definitely remember him because
Oh,
he
Because I
was
was
their
there, I
pastor
baptized some of them.
and did their weddings, funerals, the
Right.
whole. He was their shepherd.
I'm sure a lot of the
Shepherd
kids
of
have
the flock.
grown up to have, you know, very productive lives, and
Yeah. Yes.
you know, you were part of it.
Yes.
Are there any congregants in your memory that you had to minister and get through some challenging times, and you're particularly proud of the outcome of those experiences and interactions?
Well, funerals and baptisms.
Going to court with some people,
Yes.
being there like a spokesperson on their behalf.
I know a lot of
To
basketball
justify
players
on
came
their
out of that
behalf.
area. Wasn't Richard Allen Holmes?
Yes.
Wasn't that?
Richard Allen.
Yes, Bill
Um,
Cosby was raised over
Right.
in that Richard Allen homes.
Right,
Yeah. And then he later went to Temple.
a whole lot of
Boston
basketball players
University.
came out of that area.
Yeah,